Welcome to Confrontation of Calling, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes of living out your purpose. I am your host, Dianne Reid, and in this show, we're diving deep into the raw truth about confronting, contending for, and confirming your calling. Get ready for real conversations about the highs, the lows, the difficulties, the fears, the triumphs, and the victories about walking boldly in who you have been created to be. No fluff, just the powerful, unfiltered truth and reality of what it takes to thrive in your calling. Welcome back to Confrontation of Calling. I am your host, Dianne Reid. I am author, coach, speaker, consultant, and above all, I am a child of God. I'm so happy to have you back here with us. This is episode 10, and we're here for another episode. If you're new to this channel or if you're returning, please make sure you comment, you like, and you subscribe, and you share. It helps make these videos discoverable, and if they have been impacting you, share it with someone who you know needs to hear these type of messages as they walk boldly into confronting and confirming their calling. Hey listeners, before we jump into today's episode, I want to take a quick moment to tell you about something that could change your life. Are you feeling overwhelmed, stuck in self-doubt, or battling the constant fear of failure? What if you could shift your mindset to unlock your full potential and start taking bold steps into your dreams? Well, I've got exciting news for you. I'm inviting you to join the Free Your Mind workshop on Wednesday, April 16th at 7 p.m. Eastern. This is a transformative, free workshop designed to help you break free from the barriers that have been holding you back. In this workshop, you'll learn how to transform doubt into confidence, overcome self-doubt and fear, and unlock your true potential. This could be your chance to step into the confident, unstoppable version of yourself. So, if you're ready to break free from the limiting beliefs and move forward into your calling, sign up now for the Free Your Mind workshop. Spots are limited and it's absolutely free. Don't miss out on this life-changing opportunity to clear your mind, focus your energy, and create the life that you deserve to have. Click the link in the show notes or head to confrontationofcalling.com to reserve your spot today. Now back to the show. So for today's topic, we're talking about boundaries. So the more that I have decided to walk with the Lord and walk in the calling that He has placed on my life, I have had to have strict boundaries. And boundaries are really just fences, right? Fences have gates. Fences have a specific region that they block, that they guard, right? And when I started establishing boundaries as it pertained to my calling, it really started because I was trying to protect the faith that the Lord was building for me in that moment. So, for example, when I first got the instruction to leave my job and to move out of my parents' home and all of those unique big changes, I was very careful on who I was having certain conversations with. So I told you guys a year after the whole process, right? That's when I started this podcast. But when it was happening in time, I was careful even with certain family members with the type of conversations I was having with them, because I had to walk in the journey in the faith in which the Lord was building in me. And sometimes when you have the right conversations with the wrong people, it can deter your faith in that season. Some people are not graced to understand what you are doing in the season. They're not graced to understand what the Lord is doing in your life. So even entering into certain conversations can open you up into areas where now you're dealing with some unbelief, or now you're dealing with second guessing your decision without being fully established in what the Lord has called you to do. So for me, I was very limited in what I was sharing with my family. I was very limited in what I was sharing with certain friends, but my closest counsel and my closest friendships absolutely understood what I was doing in the season. So this is not to say that no one understood what I was doing at the moment, because I needed wisdom, and wisdom that was outside of myself to confirm what the Lord was saying. But I also didn't share it with a wide group of people. And sometimes when you're building certain things, it's not even sometimes, all the times when you're building, when you're doing something new, when you're walking into the unknown, such as confronting your calling, such as building something the Lord is calling you to do, you cannot share your vision with everyone. You cannot enter into certain conversations with everyone. And the Lord will give you wisdom on who those people are supposed to be. Usually it'll be those who are the closest to you, your wise counsel and your closest friends. And it's not to hide anything from anyone. It is to protect what the Lord is doing in your life. And that's what boundaries are. They're just protection for the season that you're in, the mindset in which you're building, and the ways in which the Lord is building you up. As I started to establish these boundaries, I also had to redefine, which we spoke about last week, understanding what relationships required what information and what parts of me. So who in my life were my closest circle? Who in my life were wise counsel? Who in my life were friends but not closest friends? And then who were people that I was pouring into, right? All of those sectors of people get different parts of your story. They get different access to your life. And we see it with Jesus when he has, solitude time with the Lord. He has, so that's his one. He has the three, Peter, James, John. He has the 12 disciples, and then he has the multitudes. Also in that close circle was Mary, and some other women that are just not noted in the book. But we see in the life of Jesus that he has certain boundaries in place. In each sector of people, they receive different information. The three got access to the translucent Jesus. The 12 got access to his vision at a certain point in time, and the multitudes got access to his teaching, to his wisdom. Each sector got a different level of access of Jesus. And that's what we need in our life as we're walking in our calling, because we need to ensure that we're defining the right 1, 3, 12 multitudes, essentially loosely, so that we have safe spaces and we know who to run to when we need to be vulnerable. We have safe spaces. We know who receives our calling, who receives our teaching, and then we have those that we're pouring into to duplicate ourselves, right? So those are like assignments. So or mentees or disciples. So as I continue to walk in my calling, I am trying to and actively communicating with each group of my friendships what I expect from them. Because I feel like sometimes we have a mental boundary, but we don't actually communicate the boundary. So we don't communicate to the people who we call our safe spaces that they are a safe space for us, so that they understand what is expected of them, and even having conversations about that. Hey, this is what I expect from this friendship. I see you as one who is safety for me, so that means I'm showing you the rawest parts of me. And sometimes it comes with trial and error. The The Lord sometimes tells you who your safe spaces are, but sometimes you can even test by showing a little bit of your vulnerability to see how the person handles it. And then just a lot of it comes with discernment and just understanding, hey, I feel like this person's called to me, I'm called to them as a safe space. And then for assignments, understanding, okay, these people only get the wisdom that is necessary for their lives. I shouldn't expect any reciprocity in this type of relationship in any way. I shouldn't expect to be completely vulnerable about my future and my fears and my doubts. There's wisdom in every sector. And that's why boundaries are so important, because it protects the relationship that you are building with that individual. And in order to ensure that the purpose of that relationship in general, whether it's friendship, mentorship, business relationship, in any way, to ensure that the purpose is fulfilled in that relationship, you have to have boundaries. You have to have an understanding of what are goes and what are no-goes. This is absolutely what we discuss and what we do, and these are absolutely things that we don't discuss or that we don't do. And even the more I started to alter my lifestyle to align to my calling, you start to see who in your life is equipped to handle that new lifestyle. So sometimes when you just walk boldly in your calling and start adjusting to your life according to what the Lord is doing, you see who falls into place, because now you start having conversations like, I can't go there anymore, or I don't do those things anymore. So now the foundation of what that relationship was built on is no longer sturdy because you don't even do the same things. So a lot of the understanding of who people are in your life comes as you start to stand boldly in the character in which the Lord is developing, which we spoke about last week. And as you start adjusting your life to the character that the Lord is building in you and the calling that is over your life. Certain people can't go the places that you can go, and you can't go to certain places with certain people. And the more I continue to walk this out, the more I realize I just have to have those courageous conversations to be very clear. And the thing is, I was having a conversation with a friend about this, and she said, Dianne, there's no way you're this cutthroat. And I want us to not see boundaries or communicating our boundaries as being cutthroat. It's actually being kind and loving. Love operates in truth. So instead of us living out, or instead of us walking in this relationship in gray area and in lack of clarity, let's be very clear on what these expectations are, so that we are not disappointed by unspoken expectations. That's where a lot of disappointment comes from. That's where a lot of strife comes from, because an expectation wasn't communicated. So instead of me assuming that people understand what I expect from them, or instead of me assuming what people accept from me, I rather just have the conversation. And we just need to be bold enough as we're confronting our calling. There are things that we're confronting, which includes having those courageous conversations with the ones that we love and with the ones that we're called to. It is deeply important to have boundaries, because boundaries protect what is within that region. And I want to speak about a specific example. I've been reading through Joshua. For those of you who don't know, Joshua is Moses' successor. So he's actually the one who's walking the Israelites into the land that has been promised to them. And the original instruction was in a previous episode, the call to destroy. The original instruction to Moses and to the Israelites was, once they enter into the land, they are to completely destroy what is in the land, the people, the things, so that they don't start intermingling with the culture of the time. The Lord called them to completely destroy what was inhabiting in that region. So now fast forward to Joshua, the book of Joshua, that was in Deuteronomy. Now fast forwarding to the book of Joshua, the people are actually walking into that promise. Now the Lord established a boundary out of love. I do not want you to end up back in bondage. I do not want you to end up back as slaves. So here's a boundary that I'm putting up. Completely destroy the people that are in this land so that you do not back in bondage. And here's the thing. I'm going to pause here. Here's the thing. We assume freedom is a lack of boundaries, and that's not what freedom is. Freedom is the opportunity to live fully and boldly in who God created you to be. And even in who we are, there are boundaries. Like I said, there are certain things we just can't do. There are certain things we just can't say. There are certain conversations we just can't have as we're walking in our calling, just because it messes with the integrity of our freedom. It messes with the places that we've already come out of. Sometimes when you enter back into old relationships, or you start having different types of conversations, they create ways to go back to a place where you've already conquered. So boundaries protect your freedom. Boundaries protect the love that is encapsulated within it. A lot of establishing these boundaries also comes with consulting the Lord, asking, hey, who are the right people? Who are the people who are supposed to be in my life? And even questioning who's coming into your lives at certain points. Because what'll happen is, once you start trying to move forward in your calling, the Lord will send people, the Lord will send good community, and then the enemy will also try to send people to distract you as counterfeits, people who present themselves as safe spaces, but actually are not. So there comes a responsibility on our hand to absolutely question. My pastor would say, who sent you? Who sent you, right? So as people are coming into your life, who sent you? Why are you here? And I want to highlight that, going back to Joshua, the story in Joshua in chapters 9 and 10. Joshua is with a sector of the people of Israel, and we have some people from Gibeon. Now these are people who are inhabiting the land that the Israelites are supposed to take over. So these are those that the Israelites are supposed to completely destroy and take over the land. But Gibeon, here's the thing. The people of Gibeon heard about the reputation of Israel, that they were defeating the Amorites and the Amalekites and all their neighboring tribes. So instead of waiting for the Israelites to come and defeat them, they created a plan. The people of Gibeon come to Israel and say, hey, we're your servants. Outright lying. We're your servants. We're here to serve you. Come into partnership and covenant with us and say that you won't destroy us. We're your neighboring town. We're not a part of the people that you're supposed to be conquering and destroying. Create a treaty with us saying that you will not destroy us and we will serve you. So Gibeon, the people of Gibeon, outright lied to Joshua and the Israelites. And what the scripture says is that before the Israelites entered into the treaty, they did not consult the Lord. They did not consult the Lord before they made the treaty. So they entered into an agreement with a people who presented themselves as friend without consulting the Lord. And then what happens in the next chapter, so that was in chapter 9. What happens in the next chapter, chapter 10, is that now the surrounding other kingdoms heard that the people of Gibeon went into treaty with the Israelites and saw them as traitors and went to attack them. They formed an alliance to attack the people of Gibeon. So now Gibeon has this war, and Gibeon, the people of Gibeon, are now looking to Israel to help them with the war because they created the treaty with them. They said, hey, you created this treaty with us. Now help us in our warfare. So this is what happens when we break boundaries. We enter into unnecessary warfare. We enter into warfare that was never supposed to be ours in the first place. So that's the importance of boundaries. It protects us from unnecessary war. The Israelites would have never had to defend Gibeon if they had consulted the Lord on whether or not they should have been in partnership with them. So we have to be assessors of the people who are in our lives. I spoke about it last week as it pertains to friendships. This is more so boundaries in general, in business partnerships, in friendships, in romantic relationships. In every form of our life, we have to have a boundary in place. This is what needs to be in place to protect my purity. This is what needs to be in place to protect my business, my money. Everything needs a boundary in your life. That's why we have budgets. Budgets are a boundary for your money. It's you telling your money what to do. That's why we define certain relationships a certain way. It's telling that relationship, this is what I expect for you to do. That's why we have boundaries on our mind. This is what you will not think about. This is what you will think about. Every part of our life needs to have a boundary. And when you break it down like that, this is what I'm not going to do, this is what I am going to do, it becomes less about other people and more about protecting what the Lord is doing in your life. So where in your life do you need to establish more boundaries and communicate them so that people don't end up disappointed? Now, what will happen is once you establish those boundaries and people who have been leeching off of you, people who have been benefiting off of your lack of boundary will push back. But their response is not your responsibility. You have to stand strong in that boundary and say, hey, I do not do this anymore. I will not do this anymore. And actually do it. You have to follow through on the boundary. You can't just say it and not do it, because people will test you in it. Oh, you said you weren't going here, but hey, let me just ask anyway to see if on today you would choose to do it. Or you said you won't talk after these hours, but let me send a text to see if you respond. All of those things are for us to stand strong in what our boundary is and to communicate it effectively, because it will protect our calling. It will protect our energy. It will ensure that we're not using our energy in unnecessary warfare, where we're supposed to be using our energy to building and developing in our calling. So boundaries are an energy protector. Boundaries are a love protector. Boundaries are a purpose protector. So let us view boundaries as that and not as being harsh or too confrontational. If something needs to be confronted, it needs to be confronted. We have to stop fearing having those courageous conversations and sometimes being confrontational. It doesn't mean it has to happen in anger or in malice, but what it does have to operate in is in truth. And anytime truth confronts a lie, there will be pushback. There will be confrontation. It's to be expected. So I encourage us to build those boundaries, to stand firm on those boundaries, to stand strong in those boundaries so that we protect and we guard what the Lord is doing in us and what we have to do in the earth. I love you guys deeply. That's it for today. Know that you are deeply loved, that you are chosen, and that you are worthy of the call that is over your life. Not because you work for it, solely because God says so. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.